Welcome back. Well, will it start? I'm not sure. It's been off the road for about, I'd say, 3 or 4 months. The battery's dead for sure. I'm not sure how it's going to sound once it does get fired up. But lots to do in this video. We've got the transmission fluid to change on the Barchetta. Got some bits there to do a mini service on the Peugeot. And I've also got this as well, which I've been given as a present. A new trolley jack. The other one's leaking and had its day, I think. But anyway, so as you can see, the place has had a bit of a tidy up and a clean. I've painted everything, got all the tools organised, cleared all the stuff away from the floor as well, so there's plenty of space to work now. So what we need to do now is get these dust covers off the Barchetta and then see if it'll start up. So we also need to work on our replacement bumper at some point. As you can see, it's the wrong colour to start with, and there's a little bit of damage on it as well. But we'll look at that in another video. Well, let's get our battery booster pack. We'll plug that onto the battery and we'll see what we can get. Hang on, I'm trying to do this one-handed. Turn that on. And then we'll see if it'll start. So it's clicking there, let's try and turn it on. Bit of a squeak, but that's the starter motor. So, not bad. Doesn't sound too bad actually. Okay, well I took it for a little drive and that didn't go according to plan. The Fiat code came on that comes on the bottom of the speedo. That came on, and the ABS light kept coming on as well. So what I think I'll do, I'm going to change the battery, put a new one in, because I think it could just be just a daft battery really, so I keep having to jump it. And even though I sort of take it on a long run, it doesn't seem to charge up. So we'll try a new battery and hopefully that will fix the warning lights that are coming on. Right, okay, I've got the new battery. Here we go. It's from Norauto, which is, you know, like the equivalent of Whole Foods here in Spain, I suppose. It's the same spec as the old one. So I just take the old one out and put the new one in. What I'll also do is I've got a battery isolator switch, which I'll use, which will hopefully stop me having this problem in the future. So you can easily disconnect the battery when you're not using it, and it will stop it from draining out. Right, got everything we need. Not what I had planned, but let's crack on. So before I connect the battery back up, I'll put the isolator switch on. And I'll connect the negative read here. So we'll connect the other side. So that's tightened up, so the battery's connected. Right, let me give you a quick demonstration, switching it off and on. So if I turn the ignition on, oops, sorry, on, and turn the lights on, So there we go, that's it connected. So if I unscrew it, see the lights go off, so there's no connection to the battery. Do it up again. And there we go, you've got a connection. So perfect if you're leaving your car laid up for a while, for a few months, you can just fit one of those, and then when you come to use it again, your battery should be good as new. Right, just come out for a little drive just to check the warning lights that were coming on. If we have a look inside, there's no Fiat code light, no ABS light, so job done. Let's go back home. Right, it's time to crack on with changing the transmission fluid. I've got 2 of these. I think it takes just under 2 litres. But what I'm probably going to do is, just to make it easier to film, I've never done this sort of job before, by the way. I'm going to take the battery out and sort of this here as well, just so it's easy to sort of show you where everything goes and what's going on. And I'll take the front wheel off as well. Right, let's crack on. Right, so the battery's out, so I'll take the battery tray out as well, just so we've got a better view of what's going on inside. And we'll take the tube and the flux capacitor out as well. Okay, 2 more bolts to go, just one there and one underneath. Alright, the bottom one's a bit of a nightmare to get to, but you don't have to take it off completely, just enough. Just loosen it enough, and then you can lift the battery tray out. Alright, let's see what we've got. Okay, instructions. Okay, well let's get it all unpacked and then we'll jack the car up. Now the cool thing about this is it's low profile, so it goes underneath the car without having to sort of drive up onto something, because the last jack was a bit too high. I could never get it sort of right underneath. But wow, this is pretty good. Right, okay, let's crack on. Right, there's the drain plug for the transmission fluid there. But looking at it, it does look a bit dirty, and I don't know if there's no leak under there that I can see. So I wonder if it's just old oil maybe, I don't know. But what I'll do actually before I do anything, I'm going to give it a bit of a clean up under there and get rid of some of this gunk, and then we'll know if it comes back, if it's old or new. So one thing I have noticed is that the drain plug for the transmission fluid isn't screwed in all the way. I don't know if it's supposed to be flush, but like you can see that there's a bit, doesn't seem to be sort of screwed in tightly, so I don't know if anything's been leaking out there or if that's just mess from something else. So I'm going to give it a clean up now and freshen it up a bit and try and get rid of some of this mess. Right, I've got some brake cleaner and degreaser, so I'll give that a try and see what we can do. Right, that's a little bit cleaner. Should let me see, hopefully it'll let me see if I've got a leak anywhere and where it's coming from. I don't think it's the CV boot, because there's no splits or anything in there. So it might just be oil that's accumulated over time from other problems maybe that have now been fixed, I don't know. I just have to keep an eye on it and see what happens. Right, so there's our drain plug there, and then once we've drained out the old fluid, we'll do that back up, and then we'll fill up on the other hole, which is just up here. Right, it needs quite a big Allen key, which I don't have, so I'll have to order one off of Amazon. That's the air filter for the service on the Peugeot. Spark plugs for the service. And there we go. That should be, I don't know. I'm not sure if they sent me the wrong size. Right, let's give it a try, and then hopefully it's the right size. I think it is. Should be. Right, I did order 12 and they've sent 12.5, so let's see. Right, it seems to fit okay, that's alright. So let's get this undone. Right, that is tight. I sprayed a bit of WD-40 on. That's made the difference, but it's really tight. There we go. Trying to get the money shot. There we go. That's, I don't know. It smells pretty bad. I'm guessing it's probably never been changed, or not been for years anyway. Alright, so we'll let that drain out. Right, so here's the bolt, or nut, screw, whatever you want to call it. And it's magnetized, it's got a magnet on it, so any sort of bits of the gears that sort of splinter and sort of come off stick to here. But as you can see, there's not a lot on there, which is good. So I'll give that a clean up, and then we'll put it back in. So there's more sludge really than anything else. A few bits of metal. So when you crunch the gears, that's where all the bits of metal go. Right, while that's still draining out, maybe you can help me out and give me a bit of advice. So I've got that rubber cover there, which is to do with that's the gear selector cable, I think, there, and that's the clutch cable, and then there's this rubber cover here which is split, and I don't know, it's still in one piece, but it's split and it's open, and I don't know if there's grease coming out of that at all. Maybe I've not seen that part anywhere, but does anyone know where I can get that, and if it's sort of fairly easy to change? Perhaps you could let me know in the comments. Thanks. Right, there's our cleaned up plug there, nice and clean, and all our gearbox fluid is drained out. So now it's time to put the plug back in and then top up with the new transmission fluid. Let's move this bowl out of the way first. Right, by the look of it and the smell of it, I reckon that is 27-year-old gearbox oil. I'll just give it a bit of a clean up before we put the plug back in. See, the fact that it was sticking out a bit, I don't think that was a problem. I just think that's just as far as it goes. Alright, let's tighten it up. Right, let's do the next one. Right, this one's a bit more awkward because it's right next to the air filter housing. So if your Allen key or wrench is a bit big like mine, it's a bit awkward trying to get it in. I think that's in. Again, it's tight as anything. I think I'll try a bit of WD-40 first and then I'll try it again. Okay, we've got some progress. Finally off. Right, final stage is we've got 2 bottles of gearbox fluid, transmission fluid. I just went on the website of Liqui Moly, and you've got a guide there that tells you like the make and model and lets you choose the right one for the car. So that's one I've got. So that's the one I've got for the Barchetta. I've got my funnel and my tube. So we'll sort of top up from here, and the tube will run down into the little hole on the gearbox, and then it takes about, I'm not sure if it's exactly 2 litres or about 2 litres, but as soon as it starts sort of coming out of the little hole underneath, then we know we're topped up. Right, let's get all this set up. Right, I'm just going to feed this tube down through the engine. See, that's why I took the battery tray out and the battery. You don't really need to do that yourself, but I thought it'd be easier just to sort of do the video. I didn't take the tube out in the end, so didn't really need to. I'll feed it down. My tube's a bit, not very flexible, a bit thick, but it should go in the hole okay. Alright, here goes. Alright, okay, I don't need the funnel because it's got that end on it. So I can just put the tube in there and pour it. Onto the second bottle now. I suppose if you've got enough height on the car, if you can lift it up in the air, you could probably sort of maybe sort of put that straight in the hole and squeeze it in. Because we're on the second bottle now, I need to keep an eye on the filler hole just to see when it is actually full up. Because you'll know when it's the gearbox is full, because you'll start to sort of see a little bit seeping out from the hole. That's sort of the level really. Right, so you can see we filled it up and the level's right because it's just spilling out a little bit now. So I'll put the nut back in, or the plug. Do it and show you at the same time. See, that's the only way to know it is full up really, and you've put the right amount in, but when it starts leaking, seeping out over the edge, then you know it's full. tighten up a little bit more. I don't know the torque setting for this, so if anybody knows that, then let me know in the comments. I'm just trying to make it as tight as it was when I took it off. Right, job done. Right, got there in the end. Trickiest thing was getting the nuts undone because the car wasn't sort of that high up in the air. It was difficult sort of to get underneath, to get enough force on there to get the plugs undone. But especially the top one, that was the worst. But with a little sort of help of a mallet, I managed to sort of get it undone. The other thing was, you probably noticed that I've jacked the car up, but I only did that really for sort of filming and for easy access to the to undo the nuts when I needed to get to them. But when you're sort of filling up the transmission fluid and draining, I think it's probably, you know, a good idea to have the car level. So the level in the gearbox is correct, if you see what I mean. Right, all I've got left to do now is put the battery tray back in and the battery, and then start it up and just check the gears, make sure that it goes through the gears okay. Right, let's just give the gears a quick try. So all good with the gear change, nice and smooth. And reverse as well. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We didn't have enough time to do the service on the Peugeot, but we'll probably do that next time. Right, see you soon.